Metabolic acidosis, you can see it in patients who are in shock, DKA, or drug poisoning. What's up, family? How you doing? Oh my god, I freaking missed you. Hey, listen. If you don't know me and you just came across my channel to learn ABGs, that's alright. I just want to tell you that you're freaking lucky because our path came across. And now I just want to tell you that we are the most lit, and I'm saying lit nursing channel on YouTube because we are so active and we do daily vlogging. I change the posting time every now and then depending on the analytics, but hey, if you click that subscribe button and you click that bell, you will get notifications of new uploads. But listen, before we jump into the ABGs, let's meet the family. Hey Angelina, how you doing, Daddy? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing, Daddy? Hey, hey, hey. Hey, Noah. How you doing, Daddy? You fine? What are you doing over there?
Toy.
You got your toys? Oh my.
I got a bird and a birds.
Oh my God. Let's go meet Jude. Jude is sleeping. Let's go back. Hey, listen. It's alright. ABGs, I know, it's hard. If it wasn't hard, you would have not clicked on the video. That's alright, but listen! Linda, listen! Linda, listen! Hey, listen, seriously. Alpha Slice is here, and I'm gonna teach you ABGs in less than 5 minutes! Can you freaking believe that? I mean, listen. Linda, listen. Honestly. I can teach ABGs to anyone. It doesn't matter which profession you are. I can teach you ABGs in less than 5 minutes. Hey Noah, do you want to learn ABGs? I'm gonna teach you ABGs, Daddy. You're gonna work in the ICU. Daddy, this is filthy dirty. Why are you putting that in your mouth? Come on, for God's sake. Are you kidding me? Alright guys, let's jump into a top view. Alrighty guys, I'm gonna have my buddy Tiger over here just to keep my company, but we're gonna talk about ABGs interpretation. So you're gonna learn all you need to know about ABGs for your NCLEX in less than 5 minutes. 3 factors I want you to know: pH, CO2, and HCO3. Step number 1, match pH with CO2. Step number 2, does CO2 or HCO3 go opposite direction or same direction as the pH? Step number 3, PO2 and SPO2, are they normal or not? By knowing these 3 steps, now you have accomplished 50% of the ABGs. Okay, so we're gonna start by asking ourselves this question. What does the pH, CO2, and HCO3 represent? So let's draw a triangle and pretend that this triangle represents the pH. pH represents the blood. Our body wants to maintain a normal pH level. And then you've got the lungs and you've got the kidneys. And the lungs and the kidneys are balanced on this triangle of pH. So if the lungs and the kidneys are balanced, that means that the CO2, the pH, and the HCO3 are balanced. So for example, if the CO2 is low in the lungs, then the kidney has to retain more HCO3 to maintain balance. And vice versa, if the CO2 is high in the lungs, then the kidney has to dump HCO3 to maintain balance. So if CO2 is high in the lungs, to wash out CO2, all you need is to ask the patient to hyperventilate. A very good example about patients who have high CO2 are patients who have COPD or asthma. All you need to do to wash out the CO2 is to ask your patient to hyperventilate. Tell him to breathe more. Vice versa, if your CO2 is low, all you need to do is ask your patient to breathe slower or hyperventilate. Then you will trap that CO2. CO2 can be actually fixed in a matter of minutes. If HCO3 is off, then you either want the kidney to dump off HCO3 or retain it. That compensation by the kidney could take anywhere from 8 to 24 hours. Now we're gonna talk about normal values. And now we're gonna talk about the normal values. There are 5 of them. We're gonna talk about the pH, CO2, HCO3, PO2, and SPO2. The normal value for pH is 7.35 to 7.45. Normal value for CO2 is 35 to 45. And you can easily memorize them, like 45, 45, 35, 35. HCO3 is from 22 to 26. PO2 is from 80 to 100. SPO2 from 95 to 100%.
If the pH is less than 7.35, that is acidosis. If it's more than 7.45, that is alkalosis.
PO2 is how much oxygen is dissolved in the blood, not what you get on the pulse oximetry. Alright, we're not playing here. These levels, you need to memorize them. And now I'm gonna talk about the one and only rule you need to know to interpret ABGs. ROME, respiratory, opposite, metabolic, equal. If you know this rule and you know how to apply it, that's it. You know ABGs for life. So what do I mean by respiratory, opposite, and metabolic, equal? I'm talking about the relationship between pH and CO2. To interpret ABGs, all you need to know is the relationship between the pH and the CO2. Never mind about the HCO3 or bicarb, never mind about the PO2, and never mind about the SPO2. All you need to worry about is the pH and the CO2. So let's see, the normal of the pH is 7.35 to 7.45. The normal for the CO2 is 35 to 45. I'm gonna keep repeating those numbers so that you can memorize them. So the only thing that concerns us is the relationship between the pH and the CO2. So let's give an example. If the pH is 7.3, that means it's lower than the normal. So let's give an example about the CO2. If the CO2 is If the CO2 is 32, that means it's lower than normal. So if the pH and the CO2 are going in the same direction, that means they are equal. That means metabolic. Let's give another example. If the pH is 7.3, that means it's lower than normal. An example of the CO2, let's say it is 46, that means it's higher than normal. Then the pH and the CO2 are going in the problem is direction. pH and CO2 going in the same direction, that means they're equal, that's metabolic. pH and CO2 are going in opposite direction, that means the problem is respiratory. Now I'm gonna give you examples and you will know what I'm talking about. It's freaking easy. I'm gonna give you as much examples as you want so that you will get the hang of it. Let's see. pH equals 7.3, CO2 equals 30, HCO3 equals 18. In the previous slide, I told you your only concern is gonna be pH and CO2. So let's see. pH is going down, CO2 is going down. That means the problem is metabolic, because both are going in equal direction. So we agreed that the problem is metabolic. And since the pH is less than 7.3, so it is metabolic acidosis. You don't have to worry about the HCO3. The HCO3 will tell you if the kidneys are compensating or not. So now there's one more thing you need to know to complete your interpretation of this ABGs. The CO2, is it normal? The normal is between 35 and 45. Since it's 30, it's abnormal, then the lungs are trying to compensate this metabolic acidosis. So now the interpretation of your ABGs is gonna be metabolic acidosis partially compensated or compensated partially. Alright, let me give you another example. Let's say the pH equals 7.2, the PaCO2 or CO2 equals 52, the HCO3 equals 26. As I said, the only two things you need to be concerned about are the pH and the CO2. So the pH is 7.2, and as you guys know, the normal is between 7.35 and 7.45. So this is directing downwards. It's 52, which is higher than normal. The pH and CO2 are going in opposite direction. That means this ABG is respiratory. And since the pH is 7.2, which is acidotic, then this is respiratory acidosis. Now you're gonna look at the bicarb. Your bicarb is 26. The normal is between 22 and 26, which means that your bicarb is normal. Now the interpretation of this ABGs is uncompensated respiratory acidosis. Wait a second, I'm gonna give you a third example so you get the hang of it. Let's say the pH equals 7.5, CO2 equals 28, and HCO3 equals 24. So as I said, the only two values you're concerned about are the pH and the CO2. The pH is 7.5, that means it's higher than normal. The CO2 is 28, which means it's lower than normal. The pH and the CO2 are going in opposite direction, that means it's respiratory. And since your pH is 7.5, that means it's respiratory alkalosis. The HCO3 is 24. The normal is between 22 and 26. A full interpretation of this ABGs is gonna be uncompensated respiratory alkalosis. Hey, listen man, did you get the hang of it? It's alright, you can say no. I'm gonna give you more examples. I'm gonna keep giving you examples until you get the hang of it. Alpha Slice is not gonna let you get out of the class without understanding ABGs to the fullest. Another example is gonna be pH equals 7.1, CO2 equals 39, HCO3 equals 9. As I said, and I'm gonna keep repeating myself, the only two values I'm concerned about are the pH and the CO2. The pH is 7.1, which is lower than the normal value. The CO2 is 39, which is normal. Oh, you're gonna say, hey Mo, the pH is going downwards and the CO2 is normal. Well, I cannot use the Rome formula. Well, you're damn right, you'll not use the Rome formula. So this is what you're gonna do. Your pH is 7.1, that means it's acidosis. CO2 is normal. HCO3 is 9, that means it's metabolic, because 9 is not normal. The normal is between 22 and 26. So there you have it, man. A full interpretation of the ABG is gonna be uncompensated metabolic acidosis. Man, it's easy. Hey, don't worry, I'm gonna give you more examples. pH equals 7.51, CO2 equals 33, HCO3 equals 23. Let's see. As I said, and I'm gonna keep repeating myself, only two things you're concerned about are the pH and the CO2. The pH is higher than normal. It's trending up. The CO2 is lower than normal. It's trending down. So that means they're going in opposite direction, which means respiratory. Your pH is 7.51. That means it's alkalosis. The HCO3 is 23. The normal is between 22 and 26. That means your bicarb is normal. A full interpretation of this ABG is gonna be uncompensated respiratory alkalosis. Hey man, did you get the hang of it? No? That's alright. Your boy Alpha Slice is gonna give you more examples. pH equals 7.11. PaCO2 equals 42, or CO2 equals 42. HCO3 equals 8. Your pH is lower than the normal value. Your CO2 is 42, which is normal. pH means acidosis. CO2 is normal, it's metabolic. Then the full interpretation of this ABG is gonna be uncompensated metabolic acidosis. Don't worry, man, I'm gonna give you more examples. Hey Tiger, are you getting the hang of it?
The pH equals 7.3, the CO2 equals 31, and the HCO3 equals 15.
The pH is lower than the normal level. CO2 is lower than the normal level. Both of them are trending downwards. They are going in equal direction. Then it's metabolic. Since the pH is 7.3, which is lower than the normal value, that means it's acidosis, metabolic acidosis. The HCO3 is 15. The normal is between 22 and 26. That means it's off. The kidney are trying to compensate. That means compensated partially or partially compensated. A full interpretation of your ABG is gonna be metabolic acidosis with partial compensation. Hey man, listen, I'm gonna give you one more example. Let's see. You're gonna solve it on your own. After I put the parameters, you're gonna pause the video and try to guess it on your own. pH equals 7.27, CO2 equals 29, HCO3 equals 7. Alright, pause the video and try to guess it. Hey man, I said pause the video. I'm gonna wait a second. Alright, the pH is lower than the normal value. It's trending downwards. CO2 is 29, lower than the normal value. It's trending downwards. Both the pH and the CO2 are going in equal direction. That means it's metabolic. Since the pH is 7.27, that means it's acidosis. Metabolic acidosis. The HCO3 equals 7. The normal is between 22 and 26. That means the kidney is trying to compensate. A full interpretation of this ABG is gonna be metabolic acidosis with partial compensation. Alright, the last part of our presentation is very important and I want you to listen to it very carefully. Read it over and over so that you would memorize these different ABGs. Let's start with metabolic acidosis. Metabolic acidosis, you can see it in patients who are in shock, DKA, or drug poisoning. Respiratory acidosis, you will see it in patients with COPD or asthma. Usually the CO2 is high. Respiratory alkalosis, usually you see it in patients who are experiencing panic attacks. They are hyperventilating. The CO2 is usually low. All you can do is tell them to slow down, breathe slower. That way they will retain more CO2. Metabolic alkalosis, you can see it in patients who are experiencing severe vomiting, hypovolemia, diuretic use like Lasix, and last but not least, patients who are having hypokalemia. Hey man, listen, I know you're in a hurry, but just give me a couple of minutes before you bounce out of the video. If you like this video, please do me a favor, share it on your Facebook, share it on your social media, share it between your RN friends, because your word of mouth is my oxygen. And if you're not a subscriber yet, please go ahead and click that subscribe button, and don't forget to click that bell to get notifications of new uploads. But for now, let's jump into the desktop. I want to show you real quick what I'm offering on my Patreon account. More content.
Alrighty, thank you guys for being here. Alright, let's go to my Patreon page, and this is gonna take a couple of minutes only. Patreon.com, and that's my page, that's my profile. Let's click on my photo. Okay. Oh my god! I've got one patron already on my account. $9. Oh, Patreon takes $1 for them. Patreon. They take $1. Oh my god, I'm so humbled, guys. I'm so eager to know who's my first patron. Alrighty, so on my Patreon, you're gonna see these are the rewards on the right hand side. For $1, I mean, in other words, I just want to support the Alpha Slice movement. You get to see all the feeds, like all the videos that I only post them for the Patreon, which is gonna be different from YouTube. And then you've got the $5 rewards, which is Ask Alpha Slice. $5 a month. At this levels, patrons will have access to my monthly patron only live streams and live Q&As. And these will be locked, so only patrons will have access to them. And then if you get the $10 reward, you'll be an Alpha Slice member. At this level, patrons will have access to my private WhatsApp group where you will meet like-minded individuals, and you'll have 5 minutes a day for audio or video questions. If you get the $25 reward, you will be an Alpha Slice family. At this level, patron will have access to any financial questions. We'll discuss it through scheduled video and audio calls with real numbers and screenshots from my bank account. We'll help put a solid breakdown of financial plans and expenses. I'll tell you all about medical insurance, how you need to start medical insurance in the United States, and all the hacks with numbers and agencies. Taxes information for nurses. We'll help put a career plan, how to advance your career plan in the United States. We'll review resumes for new job, LinkedIn profiles, I mean, you name it, you can read the rest. And then I have the Alpha Slice NCLEX coaching package, which is for $200. And let me tell you, you will be coached for 8 weeks like never before. And I also have the Alpha Slice IELTS coaching package for $200 as well. Check them out, see your budget, support your boy. RN Alpha Slice is at your service.
Hey man, I'm so humbled. If you made it this far in the video, oh my god, I want to thank you from the deepest place in my heart. And hey, listen, just drop a comment down below, say, I am an Alpha Slice. I want to know who you are. But that's it, man. I don't want to hold you for long. If you like this video, please smash that like button. And if you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, do me a favor, punch that face down below to subscribe. And if you haven't watched the last vlog, click over there to watch it. Until next time, be an Alpha Slice.